Shakespeare the dramatist. The progress of a Shakespearean play is usually linked to the gradual clarification of things which are left mysterious at the beginning. Themes are hinted at, but their real meaning becomes apparent much later. Opinions and assumptions are formed, and though they seem unimportant at the time, they turn out to be decisive after several scenes. There is also frequent contrast between scenes with many characters and scenes with few, scenes in public and in private, those full of action and those devoted to reflection. Major scenes with crucial events are preceded and followed by shorter scenes whose function is simply to provide information. Shakespeare sometimes leaves some question open, so that we continue to think about the answer to the puzzle after the play is over. Most of the time, Shakespeare disregarded the three Aristotelian unities of time, place, and action, so the structure of the play was flexible. Shakespeare did not give great importance to the division between the acts. Sometimes this division was imposed later. In the Elizabethan theatre, there was no curtain fall between the acts, and the plays were performed without an interval. As a rule, in a Shakespearean play, a scene is over when all the characters have left the stage. Soliloquies, asides, introductory passages spoken in a prologue or by chorus, funeral oration and deathbed speeches are only some of the conventions used by Shakespeare that were natural on a stage where the contact between the actors and audience were very, very close. Most stage direction were added by the editors, especially in the 18th century. Actually, it is the text itself that provides information about the atmosphere and feeling of a scene, about the way in which characters enter the stage and leave it. These directions and description are often given indirectly, hidden in a question or a metaphor. So Shakespeare asked for the active cooperation of the spectator in making the play come alive in his or her imagination. He did not take his characters from one social class only. Hierarchy forms the background of every play. There is almost always a man of royal or aristocracy blood, a king, a prince, a duke, a statesman, or a nobleman. From the aristocracy, the list descends to nurses, rustics, and servants. Another important feature is the importance of family ties. Father or mother with sons or daughters, brothers and sisters. These relationships are often in contrasting form, suggesting conflict between the older and the younger generations. Finally, there are symmetrical correspondences, 3 lords and 3 ladies, the heads of 2 hostile families and their households, 2 lovers, 2 princes, and 2 brothers. Shakespeare used different levels of speech and action to portray his characters from different angles, close up and at distance. A character may suddenly change from everyday prose to solemn verse. There is sometimes the insertion of allegorical scenes, songs, music and dances, as well as magical transformations. Shakespeare's language is characterized by a wide variety of rhetorical figures, similes and metaphors, assonance and alliteration, image cluster, that is, recurrent groupings of metaphors and similes often occur. Some plays have characteristic image motifs, for example, light and dark imagery in Romeo and Juliet, cloth imagery in Macbeth, and the figures of disease, corruption, and death in Hamlet. These image clusters are connected to the main themes of the plays and define their tones. Shakespeare's use of vocabulary has never been surpassed. He used obscure and archaic words, mythological allusions. He invented a dramatic number of new words. The variety in the verse structure is also impressive. Shakespeare reshaped the regular blank verse line, increasingly using irregular lines from one play to the next. Their plays are divided into 3 categories that are historical plays, for instance, Henry VI, Richard III, King John, Richard II, Henry IV, Julius Caesar, and Henry V and Henry VIII. The comedies, romances, such as The Comedy of Errors, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Merchant of Venice, Much Ado About Nothing, As You Like It, Troilus and Cressida, Pericles, Cymbeline, The Winter's Tale, The Tempest, and also tragedies such as Titus Andronicus, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, Antony and Cleopatra, Timon of Athens, and Coriolanus. Romeo and Juliet. In the city of Verona, the long-standing quarrel between the Montague and Capulet families breaks into violence. In the first act, one whole day, so the first act covers one whole day and it opens in a Verona street. Romeo reveals to his cousin Benvolio that he is in love with Rosaline, but that his love is not returned. After learning that Rosaline will be at a party at the Capulet's house that evening, Romeo's friends persuade him to attend in disguise. Romeo meets Juliet there and they fall in love at first sight. During the party they discover that their families are professed enemies. In the second act, from the Capulet's garden, Romeo overhears Juliet express her love for him. When he answers her, they declare their love and their desire to be married. This act ends with the secret wedding of the two lovers in the chapel by the friendly priest, Friar Lawrence, who has expressed the hope that their marriage may end the family's quarrel. The third act is the longest act, and it can be divided into two parts, that of public events full of action and movement, and the part devoted to private events. Mercutio, Romeo's friend, is killed by Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, during a street fight. In revenge, Romeo kills Tybalt and he banished from Verona to Mantua. The act ends with Romeo and Juliet's wedding night at the Capulet's house. In the fourth act, to avoid the marriage with Count Paris arranged by her father, Juliet takes a drug given to her by Friar Lawrence. This potion makes her appear to be dead on the morning of a wedding. The friar sends a messenger to Mantua, but before he arrives, Romeo hears that Juliet is dead and decides to return to Verona. Then Romeo arrives at Juliet's tomb and takes some poison, dying as he kisses her lips. At the moment Juliet wakes from the trance and seeing Romeo dead beside her, she stabs herself with his dagger. Unlike most Shakespearean heroes, Romeo and Juliet will never know the truth about their death. Romeo and Juliet is characterized by elements both of comedy and tragedy. It is a comedy because it begins with the material for a comedy, like the instant attraction of the young lovers, the masked balls, the comic servants, and the superficial life of street fights. However, this play differs from the conventional comedy because in the end, knowledge is not for everybody, but only for the two protagonists, and even then, not completely. Speed in the medium is the medium of fate. In the last scene, time triumphs because less than a minute's hesitation would have saved the lives of Romeo and Juliet. It is a tragedy on account of the tragic role played by chance. The protagonists must fight against external forces that make the relationship difficult, but unlike the great tragic heroes, they experience no inner struggle. Shakespeare chose the Italian city of Verona as the setting of this play because Italians were popularly considered violent and passionate, characteristics which easily charmed the English at the time. The social context of the play arises from the struggle between two families, the Capulets and Montagu, to gain political control of the city. This is the reason why most of the action happens out of doors, from the Capulets' orchard, where Romeo and Juliet first profess their love, in the famous balcony scene, to the street where Mercutio and Tybalt are killed, to the Capulet's tomb where the lovers die. So, in the first act, Romeo is presented as a man belonging to the courtly love convention because of his intense adoration and respect for a lady who is chaste and impossible. He uses the image of light typical of this kind of love. When he first sees Juliet, he compares her to the brilliant light of the torches that illuminate the Capulet's great hall. Juliet is the light that frees him from his dark melancholy. Even in the famous balcony scene, Romeo links Juliet to the sunlight, daylight, and the light emanating from angels. Oh, speak again, bright angel. It is his love for Juliet which makes him dynamic and courageous. He risks his life at the Capulet's house to be near her, and later breaks a banishment order, risking death to see her again. At the end, he commits suicide rather than live without Juliet, which is the ultimate proof of his loyalty and love for her. Juliet is beautiful, rebellious, kind and loving. At the beginning she appears an obedient child. She usually does what her parents say. Her first meeting with Romeo causes her to move towards maturity. She immediately shows determination and strength in her open confession of love and desire for Romeo. She belongs to no characterization, classification, or idealization. She is a real woman. Just like Romeo, she compares their love to light, first to point out the speed at which their romance is moving, but also to suggest that their love is just like lightning. There is a break in the blackness of the night sky. When she wakes in the tomb and finds Romeo dead beside her, she does not kill herself because of her weakness as a woman, but rather because of her strong love, just as Romeo did. Juliet's suicide, in fact, needs more determination than Romeo's, because while he swallows poison, she kills herself with a dagger. But let's see the themes of this tragedy. So the first theme is the power of love. Romeo and Juliet's love is so powerful that it becomes more important to them than their families, their loyalties, or even their lives. The second theme is passion and violence. The same passion leads to violence. The two families' hate is as strong as the two lovers' love. Individual against society. So what the lovers want as individuals conflicts with what their families and society want. Romeo can just change his name and never have to deal with his family again. The Capulets, the Montagu, and the townspeople do not want to stop fighting because two teenagers love each other. It is only the final horrible tragedy which gets them to change. And finally, the power of fate. At the beginning of the play, in the prologue, the chorus states that Romeo and Juliet are star-crossed lovers, meaning that their love will end tragically. During the play, both lovers have negative feelings about what is going to happen. The tragic ending results from a pattern which includes the elements of chance and the more powerful element of incomplete knowledge. In Romeo and Juliet, traces of Shakespeare's immature style are to be seen. His rhythms are regular, rhymes are common, often used in couplets. Occasionally, he even inserts a sonnet into the dialogue. Imagery is all about oxymoron, life and death, love and hate, dark and light, Montague and Capulets, peace and fighting, young and old.